for me, before being specific, in general, what anxiety is. Anxiety is not fear. Fear is when you know something is going to happen and you know the cause of it and the source of it. And so fear is different. Anxiety is worse. Anxiety is, you know, the future is coming, but you have no vision of it. You have no understanding of what's going to happen or what is going on. And so it doesn't have an object, and it's free floating, it's everywhere, and it affects everything you do. It affects your communication with your family, it affects your sleep, affects everything. And in the Western Bible, the Christian Bible, there's the story in Genesis of the first people in the Garden of Eden. The first job given was name the animals and thereby establish your dominion over them. And so that's the very first thing that, according to the story, people must deal with. And naming the animals of the future is the best thing that career counselors, guidance people can do to try and help people articulate and get words, get language for their anxiety and for what might be coming. Because if they get words, they're better able to cope. So just having them have an opportunity to talk with a helper, to narrate, is a great benefit. When people feel ill and go to a physician, the thing they really want the most is a diagnosis. They want words, because once they can name that animal, they're better able to deal with it. So if the members have any opportunity over the internet, in person, over the phone, to just use active listening and get people to speak out loud about their anxiety. And then the counselors will have some idea of maybe how to respond, what to say. So I know that's not specific technique, but it's the number one job right now, because the number one concern in the survey was anxiety. And even if, I know this may sound strange, even if you can help turn anxiety into fear, it helps people. Because fear has an object, fear has an enemy, fear has an animal, and we might be able to do something. Anxiety is just floating around. There's nothing we can do but be frightened. So we live in language. Anxiety means there's no language for the future, there's no understanding for the future, there's no conceptualization of the future. So the first step is the most important, to have that relationship for 15 minutes, an hour, where you actively listen. Do you use the phrase active listening in Japan? Yes, active listening is the first. Is that making sense, as I say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very touching for me.
Yes, it's very, very important to name the animals. And then the second in the survey was what?
The second one was poverty.
Yes, poverty is a survival. Is a survival necessity, and it's very hard for vocational helpers to deal with. It's almost a social work job, almost it's this intervention into the community, government, city. We can help, as we already do, with job-seeking skills. But when there's no jobs, that's a very, very difficult thing. So I don't know what the resources are in the local communities, but in my community, we would try to connect the person with some social services that can do something more than listen and encourage. So facing poverty takes courage, because there's something to fear.
Yes.
That's not anxiety. So the most that we can do, we don't have the social resources other than job helping. The most that comes to mind to me is to encourage people to get out into the community and not to be ashamed and not to hide in fear, to have the courage to ask for help. Because for many people, it's very, very hard to ask for help. Now, in English, encouragement, courage, comes from the French word course, which means heart. And so you use techniques that build heart. When somebody is heartened, when you say encouraging things, the heart beats faster. When they're discouraged, the heart beats actually slower. And that's where we have the saying, cold hands, cold feet. You're frightened of this. So for anxiety, we talk about empathy and active listening. For poverty, I don't know if I have enough wisdom to say, but a first approach is not empathy, but encouragement. And encouragement is saying things to the person that builds the courage for them to try, to give it a try, to do something. And after we're done, Mishi, if you remind me, I will send you a list of 10 encouraging sentences that was given to me by a friend, Tom Sweeney. And they're words of encouragement. They're sentences that build hope. So for anxiety, we talk about empathy, where you respond, you say things from the person's point of view to elaborate their thinking and world. For poverty, we try to build courage as counselors. I hope this is useful. It's what I would do. It's the best I can do.
Thank
and
you.
What was the third one?
Third one was family relationships. Some
Yes,
needs
this is
to care elderly or child care.
Yes, it is so important, because given if we view a well-designed life as having 3 or 4 components, one is meaningful work, whether it's outside the home or inside the home. Another is play and friendship and leisure, interpersonal relations. A third is family relationships, love, authentic interaction. And fourth is some type of spirituality or faith community. Now, to the degree we have all 4 of those, we have a good life. As they go missing or we never have the chance to get them, our life isn't as fulfilling. When, because of the virus or any other troubles, we lose work, we lose a role, Freud said work is the most fundamental tie to reality. It is the most, even a discouraged person can work alone, not interacting with other people. Now, in this very dangerous time, when people lose work, what becomes a jeopardy is the other three, because they've lost a core role, a core identity, a sense of being able inside the home or outside the home to contribute and have do something that matters to them and to the community. And the most dangerous thing with the virus, to me, is when you lose the work role, it can lead to feelings of helplessness, anger, frustration. And what then can happen is we become angry at home, and we use defense mechanisms, and we bully people we love that we don't want to. Or we become ashamed that we can't take care of our family and commitments, and we try to hide. And so when we lose the work role because of the virus, my first concern is to do your best not to lose the others, not to diminish, not to get into arguments and lose a loving partner or have your children not like you. So the first thing to me is to shore up, make sure that you keep your friends and don't hide from them or be angry with them or complain so much they don't want to talk to you, that you don't lose your good family relationships, that you don't get so frustrated, that you don't lose any spirituality or faith community you have. Don't let losing the first one cause you to lose any of the rest. It sounds simple, but to me, it's something that your members can get out to the community. Is during this time when one role is lost, we don't want you to lose yourself. You lose the role of work, but don't let that de-story you. Don't let that destroy you. Don't let it ruin the story of your friends, your family, your faith. Shore that up, use that, connect with that. Then we would move into the courage to go out and do something, building a vision of the future to create hope. But let's not lose 2 or 3 or 4 roles. You lose 2 or 3 and we start to worry about suicide because you've lost too much. So those would be my thoughts, my initial thoughts on responding to the top 3 things on the survey. Empathy for anxiety, encouragement to fight poverty with community resources, and to revitalize and strengthen the other roles. Don't let the other roles get lost. I'm not asking, do you agree or not, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense to me, and I think it's all connected to each other, and yes, it's very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in these things I'm saying, these are fundamental, but now in our specialty role as vocational and career specialists, it's difficult, but this is the time to try to help actively master what we passively suffer. What activities, what can a person engage in to take advantage of this terrible situation? And the best career interventions involve reflection, thoughts about the past, and reflexivity, connecting the present to the future. So at its best, there's a book called The Power of the Pause. And its intention is the pause is an hour with the concert, but this is a big pause it's a year pause. But what our members can offer as a specialized service is during this time when you're at home, when you're, as I am, trapped at home, is a time that you might engage with a career professional in reflection about your life design. What has your life meant to you so far? What are your key memories? And to reflect and think about your past and what you've enjoyed and what you could do differently in the future. And then reflexivity is to somehow connect it to some passion that you hope to engage in the future. And the number one thing is reflecting on things you've enjoyed in the past in leisure. And so vocational counselors, whether they realize it or not, have exceptional skills for leisure counseling, avocational counseling. Donald Super's very first book was on leisure counseling. And so it's dangerous to get depressed and anxious and frightened and sit still. So at this period of forced confinement, to stay fine requires to engage in leisure activities that still manifest your identity, that still allow you to be you. Whether it's a realistic thing like woodworking or building something or repairing something, or investigative thing like learning something new, or artistic, developing a new artistic hobby, or volunteer somehow, or to somehow not stop doing the things that you enjoy. You've stopped doing things that pay, but don't let that depress you so much that you sit in a chair and drink or cry. So trying to encourage leisure activities is important. Now, this is where the role of friendships comes in as well. Don't cut yourself off from your friendships. And prayer, play and prayer, meditation. If nothing else, learn meditation skills. All your members could help clients learn or practice meditation, which is a very, very helpful intervention that your members know well. And in terms of reflection, this is why we're talking. To me, it would be a nice time to do my career story, to go back and reflect on who were your heroes and heroines, what are your favorite interests, what is the story you want to live in the next chapter of your life or retirement, what is your advice to yourself. So in a period of pause, taking the opportunity to recommit, to develop, to manifest your leisure interests and develop new ones, and to work with one of the members of your great society to do reflection and reflexivity using whatever questions you like. I like the My Career Story you're familiar with.
Yes,
and,
I like.
And it helps people articulate, narrate a vision for the future. And if the future has constraints right now. We all are constrained, but we're not constrained in leisure time when we're freest to be ourselves. So those are the four ideas that I would like to share with members, with that leisure counseling and My Career Story being something that only they know how to do. They are the only professionals in your society who can offer this service. And they can offer it over Zoom or any other way to community groups, to faith communities, to neighborhoods, to people in school. It's a part of taking control, of designing your life, of articulating what's it all about for you. What are you thinking as I'm speaking?
I was just reminding of my career story when you were talking about this issue. And well, I think what you mentioned really encouraged me. It kind of brought my feelings up, brightened me up.
Yes,
Yes.
it gives hope. Yes, see, you are the hero of your story. You are the heroine of your story. And what would your hero or heroine do now? And one way to look at that is to go back to those 3 early role models. And, mine were Zorro and the Lone Ranger and Count of Monte Cristo. And if I was that, which I hope I am, I know what I would do next. And I would encourage, I'd have you encourage me to go and do that. And so you're the hero or heroine of your story. You've temporarily lost one role. Don't lose the 3 others. In fact, reinvigorate them. Talk about it with loved ones and counselors so you have a language. Build your courage to go out and fight the animals. And don't sit home depressed and avoid doing leisure, play, and prayer that are important. That would be my message from my perspective.